Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Google workshop that we are having. So my name is Jamie Trujillo. I'm part of the distance learning support team, and I'm here with our wonderful Kristen Waring, who will be our presenter. And her workshop is 20 Google Sites tips and tricks. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to draw your attention to the chat bar, which is over on your top right. You'll see your chat bubble. And that will allow you to ask any questions as Kristen is going on. I will be moderating the chat, so I can also ask her the questions. There might also be opportunities for you to unmute and ask questions verbally. But right now, in the meantime, if you could all just mute yourselves while Kristen is talking, there will be opportunities, like I said, for you to ask questions and give feedback. And with that, I will turn it over to Kristen.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I appreciate all your help. I just want to let you know this is not going to be a typical webinar today. We are going to be doing some hands-on stuff. So I'm hoping that all of you brought or have access to a computer. And so if you would like to just follow along as I'm doing this, you can build your own website. And then once we're done with this first part, getting it started, I will open it up. You can unmute, ask questions, and even share your screen if you need to, so that I can help you create something that you can actually use, or that you can just kind of play with and learn the tool on your own. But there's a lot of things that you could do with Google Sites. So the first thing I'd like everybody to do real quick before we get started is just go over to the chat and put your name and your program in there so that we have a record of who was here. And that's just for us. We like to know who comes to our webinars.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Cindy.
Cindy from Luna, good, okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy. I see some familiar names here.
Thank you, Lisa.
Also from Luna, good. Okay, so the page I have up on the screen right now says Google Sites Tips and Tricks. That's not actually the name of my presentation. What we're doing today is just learning how to build Google Sites and what to do with them. I didn't make a presentation because, like I said, I want this to be more hands-on. But I did want to show you a couple of sites where you can get ideas and tips and tricks, things like that, in order to help you build your own site. So I'm going to go ahead and post this website, this link, in the chat. You can save it for later, or you can follow along with me as we go. There you go. I've talked about this website in other sessions that I've done, Ditch That Textbook. It's got some really amazing, I just happened upon it kind of randomly, but it's got some really amazing tips and tricks for all sorts of tools to use for remote learning. And it's also got a section up here for remote learning specifically, for Google tools specifically. And it's got a lot of resources, templates and podcasts and all kinds of things over here. And it's all free. So for those of us that are, especially anyone that's new to remote learning, this is a great resource here. But what we're talking about today is Google Sites. So I just want to show this to you. I'm not going to read everything on here. But there are links specifically to getting started with Google Sites. We've got tutorials for students, okay? And you can just kind of scroll down here. So getting started with Google Sites, there's some video tutorials. There's a step-by-step guide for Google Sites. This guy writes amazing step-by-step instructions. So if you get lost or anything, this is a really good place to go back to. Another thing that we've been promoting with the distance learning support team is this Google Applied Digital Skills. And I know we've done a couple of webinars on that, and I'm sure we'll be doing more here in the future. But Google Applied Digital Skills, let's see, I have that open here, has self-contained lessons, and this is the location in here for specifically for Google Sites. So it's got lessons that you can actually go in here and use with your students that incorporate Google Sites as well as some of the other tools. And as you can say, this is showing 15 out of 142 lessons. So if you don't like what's on this screen, there's tons of other things. So for instance, an activity for Earth Day or for Women's History or technology. And it's mostly videos, but then it has activities that you can do with your students. So if you open one of these up, you can see up here at the top, it tells you what tools it uses. So this one uses Docs, Search, Sheets, Sites, and Slides. Okay, in this. It tells you to do this whole lesson takes between 2 and 5 hours. So it might be something that you want to divide up with your students. But then it has all the videos, it has activities here, and then it has extra add-on kind of activities you can use. You can always, you know, add your own stuff in between here. But it's a great starting place if you want a technology-based lesson to use with your students. And the great thing about this is once you get into these and get them set up, you can stick these directly into Google Classroom. So if you're using Google Classroom, those are a nice place to go. So Applied Digital Skills, I'm also going to put this up. Let's see, we're just going to put this part right here. Control C. So I'm going to put the link to this Applied Digital Skills in here. If you want to go check it out, it's a great resource for you. And it has, as you see over here, you can choose the tool that you want to use. So right now I've chosen Sites because that's what we're talking about. So all of these use Google Sites. But if I wanted a lesson that was specifically maybe with Google Calendar, I could choose that. And it's going to give me activities to use with Calendar. So that's my promotion for digital skills. So let's, the last thing, let's see. We didn't finish this. So on this Ditch the Textbook site, it shows using Google Sites in the classroom. So it talks about how to do it, packaging your docs, how to supplement with Google Classroom, how to make gamified escape rooms. I know I did one, I believe, last month on using Google digital escape rooms in your classroom. If you go here to number 5 and click on this link, how to create a digital escape room, it has step-by-step instructions on how to do that with Sites and all the other tools that you have to use as well. You can, let's see, sorry, my mouse is going a little fast here. Give students access to school from home. So you can use this as a supplement to your classroom. Just create a classroom website where you can put assignments or videos you want students to watch, things like that. You can use it in conjunction with Google Classroom. And then there's activities specifically with Google Sites that you could use. You can have the students create their own websites or do project-based learning and things like that. Show what they know on Google Sites. Maybe they do a research project and you want to give them each a page to post their project information on to share with the class. It's a good feature for that. You can make Sites interactive. I'm going to show you some of that today. Use Google Forms in it, so you can put surveys or quizzes or different things like that. And then this site also has tips and tricks for using Google Sites. So if you want to share a picture, like this one talks about making an image carousel, that's all on here. Using an incognito, how to test your settings. This is something we don't always think about, right? We make a website or we make an activity for our students, but how do we test it and make sure that it works before we give it to them? How to make it look more professional, how to show only the content you want. All of those little tips and tricks are in here. So I highly recommend this site, this Ditch the Classroom, ditchthetextbook.com, because it has a lot of information that you'll use. And if you need to refer back to it, you can. Here's how to click and drag content and how to use themes, all kinds of stuff down here. Was there a question? Okay. Samuel, could I get you to please mute your, if you're not talking, just mute your microphone because it's kind of echoing. There you go. Thank you. All right. So that's that website. We talked about digital skills. So let's talk about just how to create a Google site. So there's two ways to access Google Sites. One is through your email. Let me pull my email over here real quick. Most of you have seen the app launcher before. So in your email, if you go up to these 9 squares at the top, you click on that and Google Sites is right here. It's this blue and white icon. You can click on that and it will take you to Google Sites. Alternately, you can just open a new tab, and Google Sites, or Google has a great naming convention. You type the name of the locate thing you want to do. So sites.google.com, and that will take you to the startup screen for Google Sites. Now, I don't know, have any of you, and you can post it in the chat or unmute, but have any of you used Google Sites in the past?
It looks like Lisa has not, Nancy has, Darla, Samuel, and Cindy have not.
Okay, so for Nancy, I don't know how long ago it was that you used it, but about 1.5 years ago, they switched to new Google Sites. Okay, so if you look down here in the bottom corner, it should say back to classic sites. That's the old version. I'm going to show you the new version. Okay, they've got a lot more stuff and they're not adding anything onto the classic version anymore. So what we're going to do, so it starts you out in new Google Sites. If you really, really want to go to classic sites, you can, but I recommend sticking with the new one. So as you can see, I've got a lot of sites already built on here for various things. Okay. Up here in the top row, so any sites that you build will show up down there. You can always go back into them. This is taking you into the editing version of them, not the actual site. Up here, you can open a blank site, or there's also several templates here. So if we just open up this template gallery, it's also divided up into sections. So if you're a person that wants to use something that's a little bit already made, kind of already set up for you, you can explore some of these. We've got education, so a classroom type one, a student portfolio, personal, we've got work. So if you're doing a project or a team kind of thing, you've got that. I generally don't pay attention to these because if I'm using a template, I just look for one that looks interesting to me and go from there, because I tend to kind of change it around a lot as I go anyway. But you can use those if you want to. And if you have a couple that you've used regularly, they'll show up here in this top row. What we're going to do today is we're going to start with a blank one. So if you are following along, just click on the where it says blank site. And my internet is a little bit slow, so I'm going to let it warm up here. So as you can see down here, again, it says unsure where to begin, try a template. You can click on that if you want to, or it'll go away. Now, there are other web page making tools out there that have a lot more bells and whistles than this does. But for somebody that is creating a website for the first time, this is a really good thing. If you want something that's just easy to do, this is a good tool to use. And especially if you're already, like I am, using a lot of Google tools to begin with, this integrates with all your other Google tools very easily. So it's just point and click. So now we've got a title page. You're going to want to go up here where it says Untitled Site, and you're going to want to choose a title for your site. So try to be concise, but specific when you title it, because this will end up being part of your URL or your address that people will dial when they, or will type in when they go to your website. So for this, let's just say this is just practice. So I'm just going to call this practice. Okay, so eventually once I've published this, they'll have some stuff added on, but practice will be in the website address. Now, once I've done that, I can go down here and I can name the page. So again, we're going to call this Kristen's Fantastic Practice Website. Okay, you can type in whatever you want. You can also change it as you go along. If you decide that that doesn't fit with what you're doing, you can change the name. It's point and click. So if I want to change it, I'm just going to highlight it here and change what I wrote. Okay, I can also change the way this looks. If you look up here, I can click where it says title, and there's only a limited amount of types of text you can use. So you can't, like on a document, you can't change the font size and say, I want size 13 for this and size 28 for this, and you can't do that. But you have some pre-set up things. So we can do normal text, which is small. We can do title, which is what it was to begin with. Heading is a different size. Subheading. And small, which is really small. So for this, I'm going to just leave it as title. There are a couple ways you can personalize it. You can make it bold if you want. You can do italics if you want. Oh, I like that. You can take all the formatting off it if you want. You can center it or left, do any of that. So there's a few things you can do. The other thing that you can do to format this is you can go over here and in this right toolbar, we only have 3 tabs. We have insert, we have pages, and we have themes. So I'm going to go over the things on each of these, but right now I'm going to go to themes. Okay, and there's only a few built-in themes. As I said, this isn't a lot of bells and whistles. Right now we're on the simple theme. I can change the color if I want, and that just kind of adjusts the background, but it also will affect what I do on the content later on. Okay, so let's just choose a color here. Or if you don't like the colors they have, you can pull up a color palette and you could go in here and choose something that you like better as far as a color. Okay, so it's going to create a theme. If you go to some of these like Aristotle, you can change the font style. So this is in the modern font style. You can also go to classic font style, or you can go to a bold font style. So I would suggest, play with this a little bit, but really I tend to make my website first, and then I go back in here and kind of play with this and decide what looks best. Okay. And you can change that at any time. So these are the styles that you're limited to. But you can kind of go through and make it your own. And I'm going to show you some other ways to make it your own later on. So let's go over to, let's talk about what's on the insert page. Okay. Insert is anytime, we're going to use this anytime we want to put content into our page. So right now, this web page has one page. If somebody went to this on the website, on the internet, they're going to just see one page. There's nothing that it's linked to or anything like that yet. Okay. You can choose your layout. So right now, if I were to click over here and say I want to put a text box in here, it's going to give me one long text box that goes all the way across the screen. Okay. But if I choose a layout, so let's say I want to choose this one over here that has 3 columns. Okay. Then it changes my text box so that I can put text in 3 different columns. Okay. So you can play with the layout a little bit, and you can do a different layout for each text box. So here I had this text box set up where I'm just going to type whatever I want to type to introduce my website. Okay, so that's one text box up there. Here, whoops, let's not do that. Sorry. Where'd my site go? Okay, don't get carried away and start clicking on things you don't want to click on because it takes you out of there. All right, so good morning was up there. Now in this text box, I can do several things. So you can see I have this one text box highlighted. Good morning typed in it. I can highlight this text, and remember we've got all those different kinds of things we can do. So I can change this around and figure out which way I want it to look. So let's leave it that way. Let's make it bold and italic, and maybe we want to center it. Okay, so these things work the same way they do in docs, bold, italic, centered. You're just, for here, because we're working on formatting, you're a little bit limited. Over here is where you can change what you do. So you can choose, you can go to this little color palette here, and you can go with, let's see, right now we're on regular. So you can see it has the same background as everything else. It's white inside. If I go to emphasis, this is mostly just changing. That didn't do anything. Why didn't that do anything? Let's try emphasis 2. So it's, what it's doing is changing the background. The other one did do something. It just changed it to white, and it doesn't really make much of a dramatic change between the other two. So you can play with it. And again, these colors that you have in here are going to change depending on that theme that you've chosen. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it an emphasis just because I want to see the difference here. So this is my text box. If I decide I don't want that text box, I can delete the whole section. If I really like the way that that is set up, once I get my background and everything set up, I can also choose to duplicate the section, and it just makes another one, and then I can go back in here and type what I want to type there. Okay, down here, we can go to this plus sign. So remember, this one we set up with these different layouts. So I can click on a plus, and I can upload from my computer. These are going to be for images. So I can upload from my computer. I can select an image. So when you open up select an image, these are all my personal pictures that I have. So let's say, oh, I like this one. This is my daughter. I'll share her with you guys. So I'm going to click an image, and I'm going to say insert. Okay, and it just puts that image in there. And then I can click here, and I can type a heading, and I can also type some information. So let's say day at the lake. And that's my title for that section. And then I can just say Grace was having a lot of fun. And you can type as much or as little as you want into these sections. Okay, so here now I have this single text box up here, and I've inserted an image, and I can insert other images maybe for other topics. Okay, now what I want to show you is, once you've put all these things in or set up these sections, what we can do is, remember, right now we're just on one web page. Okay, this one introduction or home page that we usually call it. If I go over, so we've talked about insert, and we'll go over some of these other things down here in a minute, but I want to go over here to pages. Okay, so if I click on pages, I can see that the only page in my website right now is the home page. But I want to put another page. So going with the theme of what I'm doing here, let's say that I have a whole photo album I want to share, or a project. If you were doing this with a student, maybe you're doing having them do a report on a state. So you might put New Mexico here, and then you might put and the name of the student doing it, and then you might put California and the name of the student doing it, and so on. And you can put as many as you want, or whatever topic you happen to be using. So what we want to do is be able to click on this as a link and go to the page where all the information is. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down here, and I'm just going to say add a page, so new page. And since I'm calling this Day at the Lake, I'm going to call this also Day at the Lake. Okay, and I'm going to click done. Now, what that did is it created, and it's taken me to a blank page called Day at the Lake. So now if I go back, I can use this for navigation also while I'm doing this. So if I go back to the home page, you can see we've got everything we put on here, and up here at the top, we've got navigation. So now I've got the home page, and I've got the Day at the Lake page, okay? But what I really want to do, I don't want them to have to go up here to go to this Day at the Lake page. I want them to get to it from the link down here. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to click on this picture, and let's see. Okay, not the picture. I'm going to click on the words. So Day at the Lake, I'm going to highlight all the words because this is where I want my link to be. And I'm going to click right here, this kind of paperclip looking icon above it. And what it does is it brings up a place to link it to. Okay, so you can do several things with this link. Up at the top here, it's going to show me a list of all the pages that I've put in this website. So the only page I have that's not the one that I'm on right now is the Day at the Lake page. But I can also link this to something external, like a website or a different website or a Google Classroom assignment or things like that. But I want to connect this to our Day at the Lake page, so I'm just going to click on that. So you can see down here, the link is going to a page. That means a page in the website, which is Day at the Lake, and apply. Okay, so now when somebody comes in and clicks on this, they're going to see, they're not going to see this. This is just because we're on editing, but it's going to take them directly to our Day at the Lake page, which again, my computer is very slow right now, so forgive me. And here's our Day at the Lake page. So now I can put all the information I want on this. I can see this being a good option, like I said, if you have group projects for your class, or if you're giving them specific practice or assignments on different topics. There's lots of different things that you could do. We also use these in the digital escape rooms, and I'll show you how to do that if you want to make that. What I don't like about this, though, is that it still has this up here in the navigation bar. So let's go back to the home page. And what I really want is this to not say anything up here. I want them to have to click on these links down here. So what I can do is I can go over here to the Day at the Lake page in my page tab and click on the three dots to the right. And I can say hide from navigation. Okay, so it ends up, you still have the page there, but it has the line through it. Okay, so now you can see it doesn't show it up here. So when they're looking at the web page, the only way to get to this activity or this information is going to be to go down here to the picture or to the image or whatever you have down here and click on the link to take us to that other page. Okay, for you guys, you can navigate through here because you're making this. This is going to be your navigation. So let's say now we want one more page. I can click a new page and I can say, so we had a Day at the Lake. Maybe we're going to have traveling in New Mexico. Okay, so maybe we want that page as well. As soon as I type it, it shows up here, but I don't want it up there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click those three bars and I'm going to hide from navigation. Now, you may want it up here, depending on what you're doing. And I'm going to show you some samples of other websites in a minute here. That's totally up to you if you want to leave it in navigation or not. If you change your mind, again, you can click on the three bars and say show in navigation. and it'll start putting them up there. And it'll keep adding them on. So if I wanted this one to show in navigation, I can have all of these up here if I want to. And that way, from any page they go to, they can click on these and go back. Okay. You do want to go here. Let's see. No, we don't want to go there. Okay, so I'm going to take these back off of navigation. Okay, and before we run out of time, let's just go back. So that's pages. You can make as many pages as you want. You can also set up, one other thing I wanted to show you. Let's say we're talking about traveling in New Mexico, and we want to talk about Santa Fe. And we want to talk about, we want to have a page for Alamogordo. And we want to have another page for Farmington. Okay. Sorry, just pulling names out of my head here. Okay. So if I leave them this way, they're all showing up as navigation. I could just turn them off. But what I want to do is be able to go to traveling in New Mexico and be able to go from here to each of the places in New Mexico. So what I can do is I can just pick up Farmington and I can drag it. I'm clicking on the left mouse, and I'm just going to drag it up here and drop it on traveling in New Mexico. And so you can see that it's gone under that and it's automatically hidden from navigation. So let's do that with all of these. I'm going to put them all under traveling in New Mexico. Okay. So now when I go to traveling with New Mexico, let's go ahead and publish this so we can see it. Once everything I've done so far is not showing up to the public yet. It's just a draft. If you want to be able to see the way it's going to look on the website, you have to publish it. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here to publish and publish your site, web address. So you do have the option at the beginning to change this if you want to. Remember, I told you the name of the site. I've typed in practice, and it's going to be part of the address. So this underneath here shows us what the address is going to be currently. It's going to be https://sites.google.com/nmdelt.org/practice. Okay, you don't have to write that down. You can change that here before you publish it. Once you've published it, it's harder to change. And there are ways that we can go over at another time, or I can work with you individually to shorten this website if you want to. But for right now, we're just going to say publish. And I have this set here. So anyone at NMDELT, so Distance Education Learning Technologies, anyone with an NMDELT email can view the site. You can also hit manage here, and you can set this up so that, oh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Let's go back here and let's publish this, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so we're going to hit publish. Okay, so down here it says my site has been published successfully. And if I want to view it, I can just click on view here. So this is going to take me to the actual site. This is what students will see when they click on this. And well, all right, so practice, that takes me home. So here we're on the home page. Day at the Lake, I can click on that and it goes to Day at the Lake. And I can go back home to practice. And as you can see, I have not yet set up a link to go to the New Mexico one. So let's go ahead and close this and go back to our, you can tell the difference because it has this on it. Let's go back to our home page. And let's just say here we wanted traveling. I don't have a picture yet, but traveling in New Mexico. Okay, and let's set up that link. Click on this, highlight the words, click on the link icon. And since we have multiple pages now, we can just click on traveling in New Mexico, apply. Okay, so now when we view the website, this will also show up, and that has a link in it. I wanted to see, since these are under here. Okay, so if I say show in navigation, where does it show? Okay, that's not what we want. Hide from navigation. Hide from navigation. But we want to add a subpage. We already have subpages. All right, so we're going to hide that one from navigation. Okay, so now since we made changes, every time you make changes, you want to publish. And it's going to show you what's currently published. You can see if I scroll down here, what's currently published just has a day at the lake. What is going to be published will have the traveling in New Mexico on it. So in order to see it live online, we have to publish. Okay, then we can go here and we can go to publish, go to the drop-down arrow beside it, and say view published site. And that's going to take us to the actual website. And shoot. Okay, let's go home. Okay, so now we have the links to Day at the Lake and traveling in New Mexico. And I'm going to have to do a little research because on the old one, when we had subpages, if you went here, it showed it at the bottom of the page. And for some reason, this is not doing that. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. So let's just skip that for right now. With the subpages, they're really cool. I will figure out how to do this before I let you guys go. The last thing I wanted to go over real quick, and then you guys can ask questions and play, is just on insert. You can insert, so when you're starting a new page, you can right click here and not right click. You can left click here, double click, and it pulls up the insert, the basic, just this top part of this is here. So you can do text, you can insert an image, you can upload something. You can upload something from your drive if you have a form or a picture or anything in your drive. And you can also embed. Embed is going to be good if you have a video, for instance, maybe something from YouTube or something you've made, and you want it to just start playing automatically as soon as they log on to this page. You're going to want to use an embed code for that. An easier way to do that if you're using YouTube is to go over here and choose YouTube. There's an actual choice here for YouTube. So if you do that, if I go here and let's say I wanted a video about cats. This is my go-to cats. There's always funny cat videos available. So let's say I want something about cats. I can search right from in here. And let's say, okay, I like this one here. I'm going to select it. And it'll load that right in here. Okay, so then that way it's going to come on. It's going to be here as soon as they log in. Okay, again, if I wanted to publish, I'm going to publish so that we can see it on the actual site. We've got what the old page looked like, what the new page is going to look like. So I'm going to publish. Okay, and then this one, I want to view the published site again. It's going to show you whichever page you're on. You can still do the navigation, but it's going to take you directly to whatever page you're currently on. So now I can go here and we can just click on this and watch this video. Okay, so that's a nice little feature that you have there. Or if you have something, like I said, if you're in YouTube and you find something you want to put in, you can choose the embed code also, and you can load it that way. Okay, some of the other things that they have in here, you can put a table of contents, collapsible text, so it only shows part of the text until they click on it. You can insert an image carousel, which is kind of cool. You can put multiple pictures on it and it just kind of spins. You can put a button. So I showed you how to do links to different things there, but if you would rather, instead of having a picture or anything like that, you can have a button. So let's say I'm doing this traveling in New Mexico and I want to go to the Santa Fe page. Okay, I'm going to type in the name, so what I want on the button up there, and then I'm going to go to link, and in this case I am going to the Santa Fe page. I want to insert it, and it's going to put a button here, and you can go in here, you can make the link just outlined, you can fill it in, you can make it just text only, so they just click on that. So you can change that around. You can edit the button, and I don't think you can edit the color of the specific button, but you can change that background of the button like this and put buttons all along here. So if you don't like the location of that button, you can click on it, and maybe I want the button to be up here. I can move them around. So buttons are kind of cool. Whoops, I wanted to go to this one so we can see it. So you can't really change the shape of those buttons on here. There's ways around that if you wanted to make it a star button or something like that, but it's a little more complicated. So we'll do an advanced one later on and go over how to do that. You can also insert a line, just a dividing line, if you want a line between your different things. You can barely see it on here. That has to do with the theme. A placeholder. So this is just like what we had on the front page, except we use the templates. So let's say I wanted a picture on here, but I don't have the picture yet. I can put a placeholder, and maybe I want this picture to be bigger than that. And I'm setting up my outline or my page. I can make it bigger or smaller and then come back to this later on to add in a picture. Okay, so that's what a placeholder does. And then I can always go here and I can type text on this side. So what I did is I double clicked, I chose the text, which is right in the middle, and then you can just start typing. You can always talked about the YouTube videos. You can insert a calendar in here, either a new calendar or a calendar that's attached to a Google Classroom, or a personal calendar if you have one from your email. So there's lots of different kinds of calendars. You could just put I believe so here's all of my classes. So I can choose a calendar from any of my classes. I guess that's the only calendars you can put in because it's connected to your classrooms. So you can choose your classroom and put a calendar in there to go with your class. Maps. This will take you to Google Maps. So if you needed to show a location or directions to get somewhere. And then down here, you can insert any docs. So let's say I wanted to start a slide presentation just for this. I can click on slides, and it's going to take me into my drive and show me all my slide presentations. And I can choose which one I want to put on there. And it'll just insert it. So you can make a whole page with a slide presentation, or just a small area, depending on what you want to do. So you've got all the other Google tools here. And then you can also do charts, which I think you have to have already made a chart to do it. Yeah, so this just takes me into my Excel stuff, and I can choose to insert those into, make a chart and insert those into it. So there are a lot of options, a lot of ways you can do it. Let's go back to home now. Now, does anybody, I saw some of you have been following along. Do any of you have questions?
Please feel free to type your questions in the chat. You can also unmute, right, Kristen?
Right. Yeah, go ahead and unmute. And If you want me to look at a page you're working on, I can give you ideas. If you have questions on how to do something or create a certain type of page, I'm happy to help with that. Do any of you have ideas of what you would like to do with Google Sites as far as a classroom activity?
That's a good question.
I was actually just typing that into the chat box. If it's okay, I'll just go ahead and say it.
That's fine. Yes, let us know.
My main focus was I wanted to create some type of a website where that my students could access. Where one of the things I want to do is create instructional videos on certain topics and be able to post them to YouTube. But it would be nice to have a website that the students could access with, excuse me, with all my instructional videos on certain topics. And then, you know, if they need to review integers, they can just go back to the website and click on my instructional for integers or something like that. That's kind of what I was thinking.
I think that's a great idea. And there's several different ways that you can do that. One way would be kind of like what we were doing right here, where you can set up, you can do it with small icons like these or a little bit bigger like what we've got here. And instead of putting pictures, you put the video, or you just put links and it'll take you to each video. So you can do it that way. Another way to do it, and I don't know if you've seen this website yet. Let me go to our NMDELT website, our old website. Okay, so this is a website that we built using Google Sites. And what we did is, you can see up here we have like resources, links, different topics. So we have a lot of pages on here. And it doesn't look like I have editing access right now, so I can't go in there and show you. But if you connect with us and we go here, we've inserted these, and each of these have a link. So maybe using different topics, or for instance, here under resources, if you go to English language learners, let's go in there. And what we've done is it's more text-based. So we have a link at the top of each thing that goes to either a video or a web page or something like that, with a short description of it under there. That might be a way that you can use it as well. So you could put the link to your video or your information that you want your students to access, and just a short description. If you need help with working with integers, click on this link and they can go there. And then what it does is basically it would take them to another page that has all of that information on it. So on the new page, you could put your video, and then you could also maybe put links to worksheets or things like that that they could practice on, or different other activities that they could practice with. So there's several different ways you could do that, whether it's with text or with pictures. I personally like pictures because this is a lot to go through when you're looking to find something specific, but it also depends on what you want to do. Another way we also did it was, let's see, where's our Tech Talks? So here we did, we just did it. This is our archives. And so we just made a long list of the topics or the videos, and each of these links takes you to a video. And you could do it that way as well. So lots of different ways you could do that. Any other questions?
Nancy, it was more of a comment, but she said, I'm running my classes out of Sites. It's easier for many of my students to follow what's going on there than it is through Classroom.
You know, Nancy, I think that's a great idea, and I had actually thought about doing that. I just haven't put it into action yet. I like the idea of having just the daily assignments and having that one place where they can go. And then they can link to Google Classroom to turn them in or send them through email or however you do it. Nancy, do you use Google Classroom as well, or are you only using Google Science?
No, I use Classroom as well, and they, the assignments are housed on Google Classroom, but they access them through the links on the site. And yeah, it's sort of like I have a week laid out on a page, and it's easy for them to see kind of the progression I want them to make, where on Google Classroom, it's all just sort of there.
Right.
And so it's worked out much better since I started doing this back in August.
I like that idea. I might steal that and use it for my class, because you're right. When I love Google Classroom, but it's a little confusing sometimes as to what they're supposed to be accessing and what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Insert buttons or links. Does anybody else have any questions or ideas of how they might use this?
There's nothing else in the chat right now, so if anybody else wants to chat or unmute.
Okay, well then I'm just going to go ahead and stay on here for a few more minutes. We've got about 8 minutes left. If you guys are working on something of your own and you have a question, please let me know. I also wanted to let you know I'm going to put my email address over here in the chat. So if you are building something and you just have a quick question or need some help with it, please feel free to email me or contact me on Messenger. I'm chat now. So I'm on Google Chat or Google Hangouts, or you can email me. And like I said, there's lots of different things. One of the things that I did, I wanted to kind of share it here, is I used this as a review game. This was one of my first escape games that I made. And I used this as a review for our geometry lessons. And so what I did is I created a picture in Google Draw, and I attached it in here. So as you can see, it's just a little short thing. The craziest thing happened today. They got locked in this room, and the voice said, you have to find all the clues if you want to get out. So I've got the drawing here. And down here, I used a Google form to set up all the locks. So they have to do the activities. They have to click around on the page to find different activities to review their geometry. And then while they're doing that, you also have to think critically and look at these and find the answers to some of these locks. So if I go to the published page right here, this is more what it looks like. There's the actual form. And so I've got each of these things on here is set up as a link. So if I were to click here, this is talking about triangles and angles. It takes us here. This is different games. This is from Shepherd Software. You can use anything online. So if you have a favorite website or anything, you can just copy the URL and make that the link for that picture. And so they could click on here. They can choose what they want. So they have to find an acute angle. Oh, I got that one wrong. Let's see, where's my acute angles? That's an obtuse angle. Oh, goodness. These are, oh, because they're looking at the big angles. Okay. Wow, I'm not very good at this. There we go. And then we want an obtuse angle. That's those up there, and another obtuse. So they can play. Let's just review. Well, I guess that one they say is acute. Oh, we wanted right angles. See, you have to read too. So they could do all of this. And I don't actually remember what the clue was for that, but we can go back here. And so I also have this one set up to go to something else. This is an area and perimeter activity that I had created. So I did this in Google docs, I added the picture, which I actually stole off of a website for mobile homes, and created this activity for them to do to figure out the area and perimeter. And the answer to this is one of the locks on the page. I don't remember again which one. It's been a while since I did this, but whatever their answer they came up with was something to open one of these locks. So lots of different things you can do. This one, I just really liked this cat in the wall GIF. So it doesn't really take you to anything that has a clue, but it's a really cool Tom and Jerry video. So that's just linked directly to YouTube. Oh, well, that one wasn't Tom and Jerry, was it? This was the mouse chasing the cat. Poor cat. All right, let's go back. So it's a fun way that you can use Google Sites to create a fun activity for them instead of just regular worksheets. As you can see, if you go over to pages, I've got the home page is the only one that I have on the navigation. And each of these pages has different activities on it. So this is a circus clown activity. They're juggling angles. Here we have circles, which I don't remember what we were supposed to do with that. We've got diamonds. How many triangles do you see? So this is counting, but thinking outside the box. We've got a shape maze. So following directions and identifying the different shapes. So I created this maze. I just took a maze that was a blank maze off of Google, and I put it in a drawing and added my own shapes to it. So they have to follow the directions to solve the shape. And then the area and perimeter one that we already looked at, that's on another page. So basically, all I did was create this site with all the different activities on it, or most of the activities on it. And then I chose different pictures to link to on my drawing. Upload the drawing on here, and then when you publish it, all of those links are live. Okay, so that's a fun way that you can use it. What else have I got in here? Let's go back to sites. Some of these I don't use anymore. Some of these were created on different things. Somebody's used it to create a professional portfolio. We've done projects on here. You can use it to create a club in your classroom. I've got several different escape rooms. So a lot of different things that you can do with Google Sites. So any other questions before we sign off? It's 1 o'clock now. No? Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is go back to your class, work on making a website, see what you can do with it. And like I said, let me know if you need any help. Don't forget about that Ditch the Classroom link. Let me just post it again down here for you, because it will definitely help you and give you ideas for later on. And thank you very much for attending. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I'm going to stop the recording.